All right, guys. So the problem with the ufology or, the whole phenomenon is that there's been so much that's been going on throughout the decades, the years, the centuries. And so it's so complicated. It's so complicated, which is why there's so much drama that goes on into the whole thing. So Dr. Steven Greer, Bob Lazar have had the most convincing and consistent stories throughout the whole time of ufology. So that's why they get so much credibility. Now, there are other players that came in later on, like Ashton Forbes and a bunch of other people who were very, very much in the weeds of the nuts and bolts. And that is very important because that is what helps us get disclosure and bring on not just the fringe of people, but everybody on board, especially physics, math, and technology, so that we can actually fix problems with the technology that exists from this breakaway species that existed and has always been here on planet Earth with us, but that has strongly been taken over by our government, who has been doing all kinds of manipulation, psyops, etc., etc. So what's the issue here? One is that God gets involved in all of this, as in religion, big business, and all that stuff. So it makes the whole thing very, very confusing. And as Dr. Steven Greer calls it, a mosaic. Now, the problem is, on top of that, is that disinformation agents that were once trying to stop the disclosure from coming out and that were attacking Dr. Steven Greer in the past now are on board with it, right? That's the issue, right? They weren't doing the hard stuff when the stuff was hard, but now that it's getting popular, they're now on board. So that's where a lot of controversy comes into play here. Also, there's the fact of people's abductions. Now, obviously, the government has been abducting people for so long. They've been creating mutants, super soldiers, if you will, and a bunch of other stuff that's crazy. Now, what's the best way to get out of trouble? Scapegoating the other people, just like they do with China. So blame it on the aliens or the breakaway species that's always been here, that is more advanced and probably much more pleasant than we are as human beings. So yeah, that's where we are today. And yeah, it's a mess. It's a real mess.
Likey